Life isn't perfect, and neither are we.
Nope. But we know how to face our fears
And have some fun,
and talk about all the messiest things of life.
like the messiest things.
Get connected to yourself, get connected to others, and get connected to the life right in front of you.
This is The Connected Life with Justin and Abby.
That's me.
That's you.
And you.
Okay, I actually felt really inspired by our last conversation together.
How so?
I was thinking about, I can face hard things. And so I realized I avoid thinking about money or investments or our future like the plague. And so after we recorded the podcast, I was like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to face it. And you know what I did? I went and listened to a podcast about investing.
Oh. Good.
Yeah. I started having conversations with people about how I'm avoiding it and how I don't want to. And I began the process of engaging it a little bit more.
Did you learn anything that will make us money?
Yes.
Well, job well done.
Yeah.
Really glad we did this podcast then.
Uh-huh. It's going to make all of our lives better.
Go shake your moneymaker, baby.
I felt like it was so hopeful and inspiring and encouraging.
Yeah.
You know, not only to just remember you can overcome and to look at other things you've already overcome in life.
Yeah.
And that feeling of I don't have to avoid things. I can become a badass at facing shit. Like that just felt good.
Yeah.
Did you feel good afterwards?
I just felt like the podcast went well, so that made me happy. There wasn't a whole lot of re-recording.
Not a lot of editing.
Check mark.
My life is consistent emotional distress tolerance, just building. Because I have a wife and a dog.
Very, very true. Yeah, that's good.
Do you want to talk about what we're going to do today in part 2?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Today I'm very excited. So for those of you who haven't met her yet, Rachel is one of our favorite humans. She has been with us for over 10 years and she's what we call a master consultant. So she's on our list of people we've trained, we recommend. She's an emotional ninja genius for helping people. And we love having her here. Mostly this is a conversation that is really fun for all of us because all of us have had to grow our emotional distress tolerance in life. Now, if you're just joining us, I highly recommend starting at last week's.
Yep.
But to give a brief summary, to catch you back up for those of you who have ADHD and are like, what did they even talk about last week? That could be me sometimes. Emotional distress is the ability to stay present with hard emotions without needing to escape, fix, or shut down. And that is basically the gist of how you are an emotionally mature person.
Yeah. Your ability to sit inside of those emotions. I know that a lot of times I had to bail out of them. And
Same.
how do I escape life right now? I had a place called my happy place inside of my head. And when the distress was too high and I didn't have a tolerance for those experiences going on inside of me, I went to this like land of like fantasy in my head. And I was imagining a different world than the one I was living currently in.
Oh, yeah. That's what I call like my lottery escape. When life is really, really hard and I go buy a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
So I can just think, what would it be like?
my other escape was peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and as a kid, cheese.
Oh, yeah. You did. Cheese was your emotional distress tolerance as a kid.
Just cheese. Not comfort food, specifically cheese.
It was Kraft singles package, one after another,
Gross.
processed cheese. Yeah, that was a weird thing. I don't know why that little kid brain of mine thought
Gave
that
you
was
resilience.
comforting. It must have had some sugar in it or something weird. That
There's
just
some kind of addictive.
spiked something inside of me. But then I was happy. It was that and Ritz crackers. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's nice. We build some very weird coping mechanisms to help us have distress tolerance.
Yep.
That makes sense.
To escape out of the feeling of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about, there's kind of a couple areas that we're going to go down, which is you can't have healthy, good relationships that are deep and meaningful without emotional distress tolerance. And also, this is the reason why the people in your life who are emotionally immature drive you nuts, because they don't have emotional distress tolerance. And as we talk through it, you might spot yourself, you might spot some people around you, but I've never heard this concept be taught as one of the core pillars of how to do relationships.
Oh, yeah.
What you need to be successful in relationships. And one of the biggest things is emotional distress tolerance. So I thought we'd start with, there's kind of two things that relationships in general really trigger for most humans. And because of our distress from being triggered from that, we often run or avoid or sabotage or do weird behavior to protect ourselves. So the two things I want to talk about is goodness. So sometimes when you're being loved really well, or there's somebody who's actually safe, or who's seeing you or hearing you for the first time, or present with you, or loving in a way you've never experienced, that causes a lot of distress inside. Because it's like we get used to what we don't have. And we're like, I'm fine here. I don't need to be seen. I don't need to be known. I don't need anyone to take care of me. And then somebody comes and they want to take care of you. And you're like, what is this feeling? I'm going to have to become so vulnerable to let you love me. That feels horrible. Even just having to acknowledge, no, I guess that would feel nice for that need to get met. That can feel terrifying. And that leads to the second thing that is intolerable is our fear of abandonment in relationships. And why would goodness be scary? Because we're ultimately afraid if I let this love in and I let my walls down and I actually believe that it could be good, then it'll just get taken away from me.
Yeah.
100%.
When you're talking, I was thinking about, I've had a lot of examples of women who get into a relationship with the bad boys, and that always feels really comfortable for them. And they're like, oh, I love this. There's
What a good
fights.
example.
You know, everything's falling apart. But then all of a sudden, this good guy crosses their path, and they can't help but blow that up seconds into it. They're like, I can't take it. I can't take it. And it's
Such a
part,
good
to
example.
me, I'm like, I look at that and I go, oh, there's a lack of emotional
Distress tolerance towards the goodness.
towards the goodness. And then you have that fear of abandonment. They're like, this is the best thing ever. Eject, eject, eject.
Yeah, I'll get out before you can hurt me.
Because you'll eventually realize that I'm flawed and I'm broken, and you'll get rid of me anyways because I don't have a high perspective of myself.
Yep.
So I don't want to have to feel that when this goes south. So all of a sudden I'm ejecting this and blowing this relationship up.
Oh, yeah.
I love what you're saying because I maybe people are saying this, but no one ever told me specifically that distress is a really big part of healing your nervous system and healing your attachment system. So like, I think about like every significant major relationship I've had in my life, there was always a pivotal point in which the distress in my body was going off when something actually was really helpful or meaningful about that relationship that was going on. Like my husband was sort of like the first really good guy that I could remember liking, and my body was like, I don't know what's happening.
This feels disorienting.
This feels disorienting and unsafe, and I need to get out of this, I think. And similar, when I met you, I had a very similar feeling of like, this feels unsafe because of how unfamiliar it is, and oh my gosh, this feels crazy inside of my own nervous system. I need to get out as fast as possible. And so I think it's just so helpful to know like that it's actually a part of what it means to heal your nervous system a little bit and expand your nervous system is feeling that distress of that goodness and tolerating it long enough to actually forge a bond.
What did it what are some of the moments that it felt like that, and how did you choose to not run away?
I just think, oh my gosh, that's like every meaningful relationship I've had to do that over and over. I mean, I think when we first started spending some time together, you'd be really kind and you'd have compliments that you'd give, or you'd point out good things in me. You're a very like affirming human. And I could literally feel my anxiety rise in a way that was almost like, it kind of felt slightly painful for me on the inside, for you to be kind to me. It felt like it was really bumping up against my normal. So in a lot of ways, again, our nervous system tracks something different as threatening.
Yeah, because you're like, I know what I know.
Yeah.
That feels safe because I understand it.
Totally.
But a new thing, your body's like, alert, alert, alert.
Totally. I kind of felt like
we don't know how to navigate this.
100%. It felt like I was a rubber band, that like my set state was like at this amount of goodness I could tolerate. And being around you, I could feel myself literally stretch and be like, ooh, this is hard. And so For the first stage of our relationship, I really felt that way a lot. And I'd feel a lot of panic because I would be like, I want to either pull close to you and get reassurance that like you'll like me forever and you won't ever do and you'll never
Anything
feel
that will hurt you.
Yeah, and you'll never hurt me, or I'll never feel any negative emotions. And I wanted like very strong, like ultimate reassurance very quickly, or I wanted to inside of my own self be like,
I don't care.
I don't care. It's fine. I can go away and I'll be happy. And if she doesn't like me, okay, I can live my life. And that happened in several ways, many times throughout different phases of our relationship. So it's hard to pinpoint a certain moment because it was more just like a consistent feeling that I had a lot of the time.
What was it that made you be like, I want to learn to tolerate this?
Well, I think I really thought to myself, this is maybe the only way for my nervous system to learn a new way in general. Like, I was like, I can tell I'm just attracted to the same type of people over and over, and I'm attracted to what is comfortable for me over and over. And that actually isn't probably doing the work in me that will help me begin to start to choose healthier options in my own life.
Right.
So I started to think of it as like, this is a really good opportunity for me to learn this. It's a really good opportunity for me to learn that I can be in goodness a little bit and then it doesn't destroy me.
Love that.
And I thought this will probably help heal my whole attachment system if I can actually embrace the distress that this is causing instead of bouncing out of it or finding a way to distract out of it.
Yeah. I was thinking about, you were talking about normal and what is our normal and our normal level of stress and our normal level of pain. So I remember with regards to masculine authority figures that were in my life, I had so normalized having male authority figures that were demanding from me, controlling, even threatened by my presence. Like somehow they weren't confident in their own selves and they felt threatened by what I had to say, what I brought to the table. And that felt so normal to be inside of. And I had a relationship form with Paul Young, who we've talked about a lot on the podcast. And
For those of you who don't know, he's the guy who wrote The Shack.
Yeah. And I remember it was so outside of my wheelhouse of normal. I don't know what to do with this. This person must have an agenda. That was part of me. Like, you can't actually be this kind, this thoughtful. You can't actually be this affirming. What is it because part of our fear is getting caught off guard. Like the normal that I knew, I could have guards up. I could have protective barriers against. I could figure out how to navigate any type of like war that I had to fight within that situation. But now my tools of war are just being dismantled when someone's like, I'm actually loving and kind and affirming. And then you feel naked. You feel I felt so exposed.
Such a good example.
In every conversation I had with Paul, where he was kind and gentle and affirming, I felt so exposed. And I felt like you can hurt me more than anyone else suddenly because the love that you're bringing to the table brings down all of my walls and causes me to trust. And trust feels terrifying when your trust has been violated so much inside of your life. So goodness. So I had to begin to tolerate this sense of being out of control because I had the illusion of control that I would operate out of.
It's an illusion.
In being able to understand my hypervigilance could like read somebody and then I could know how to navigate them and I'm controlling the situation and how I react and respond. But love, I didn't have a grid for. Care, I didn't have a grid for. And now all of a sudden I could not control that. I was like in a trust fall every time I had an exchange with him. And I kept asking myself like unconsciously, when's the bottom going to fall out from under me? Right. And so I had that panic and I had to begin to face like this idea of like, I have panic every time I get on the phone call with someone who's so kind. Why do I have panic over this? But there was also this sense of like, my normal was causing me so much pain inside of my life that I have to readjust that normal.
Yes.
And it's going to cost me being extremely exposed over and over again. And it's also going to cost me the possibility of him walking out. I so resonate with the idea of the fear of abandonment, because I would get on that phone call and we would start talking, and I would rush through what I had to say because I was like, I'm wasting his time. If I take up too much of his time, he's going to get irritated with having phone calls, and then he's never going to call me again, or he's not going to want me to call him. And so I was like cutting the relationship short over and over again, where there'd be times where he was like, you know, Justin, I'm totally in charge of my own personal schedule right now, my time. Like, I'm in charge of that. You don't have to manage that for me. But I couldn't handle the idea. That was another moment of my illusion of control. Like, if I can't control knowing how to respond to you, I can minimize how much time we have, and that will protect you from leaving me, or protect me from leaving me from you leaving me.
Yeah.
So all of that said, I'm sitting there thinking about how unnerving it is to make a transition into goodness in our relationships, and the stress that adds to us.
Yes.
To the point, I understand it so much so that I was leaving extremely extended periods of time between when I'd have phone calls with him. And at one point, this will kind of land the plane, I'm in a conversation with him about I was going through a bunch of pain in my season. And he said, Justin, if you need to have a conversation with me every day, we will have that conversation every day until you get your needs taken care of, for as long as that takes.
And this makes me want to cry.
Yeah, well, I did. I broke down crying so hard over that. And that was the moment where all of a sudden I'd been stretching that emotional distress tolerance for so long. And finally I said, I choose to accept that he chooses me.
Wow.
And that he has chosen me as a relationship in my life. And even if it does disappear, I'm going to be okay still. But I'm going to accept the love that he has to give. And I'm going to allow myself to settle into being comfortable with every conversation we have.
Gosh, that is such a beautiful story.
Yeah.
I love that so much. I love that we're talking about this, because I don't think it's talked about often, is what it feels like to be loved well. And I'm thinking, when you're describing it, I was thinking through the body feelings that I get, where it feels like pressure. When somebody's loving me, I can feel that, like, so I grew up with, for those of you just joining us, I had so much self-hatred, so much shame. I tried to hide in every way. I hated myself so much I wanted to die. It just felt like that was such a core part of my being. So when people loved me, I could feel my self-hatred rise up, and it felt like this duel between my inner worth and how they were treating me and what I believed was good about me or not. And so I remember when I met you, you're a great question asker. Well, I thought I was good as a good person because I was good at asking questions. But all of a sudden, you're asking me more questions. And so my self-hatred was like, but if I'm not good because I ask the good questions, then what do I have to offer? What do I have to bring then? Like, if I'm not doing, or I'm normally the good listener, and here you are, you're listening to me, and now I feel very uncomfortable because I feel lovable because I'm a good listener, not because of how I share. And now you're inviting me to share, and I feel so uncomfortable with that. And I think that when I look at my life and the journey of overcoming-ish self-hatred, like, there's always pockets, especially when you go through trauma late in life, where it just sucks you into a little bit more shame. But I've overcome a dramatic amount, even just to be on screen and doing things. Dramatic for me. The people who knew me when I was a kid are always shocked. But one of the ways I overcame self-hatred was to feel that battle, that intensity on the inside, that, like, oh no, am I actually worth something? Oh no, if I don't have something to contribute, are they going to leave? Oh no, this feels uncomfortable. Oh, I feel awkward. Oh, what if I don't have something that is enough? And I would just allow, like, I remember thinking the only way to grow is to let love in a little bit more.
Yeah.
And so every time it happened, my goal wasn't, I have to receive all of this and believe all of this and suddenly have my worth match all of this. I was just like, is there a little bit more of this love that I could let in? And I kind of looked at the two options. I can either be stretched by rejection and having to tolerate it, or I can be stretched by love and having to tolerate it. And so I was like, there's going to be growth pains on both sides. So I would rather the pain be caused by good. Like that felt like a better source of pain for me.
Yeah.
And so that is one of the reasons that I bought into allowing people into my life that continually stretched me, continually loved. Every time somebody gave me a gift, like I can't tell you how uncomfortable. I remember in the beginning of our marriage, this is so funny. Somebody gave us a gift card to Target for like $100 and we could get curtains.
Yeah.
And it just felt like, oh my gosh, wow, that's so huge. And it felt so uncomfortable for me to receive that. There's that innate thing where I'm like, I want to earn it. I want to prove that I'm enough, that I'm worthy of you giving me this nice thing. I need to show you that I really do deserve it, that I'm not a piece of shit, whatever the belief is, and the letting go of that and allowing the vulnerability of I'm actually just going to receive this.
Yeah.
Woo, it's hard.
Well, you pointed something out there is that we will tolerate what we believe to be true,
Yes.
right? About ourselves.
More than if it's good or bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when I truly believe that I'm a piece of shit, I will absolutely tolerate.
People treating you like that.
Like that. And even though it's deeply uncomfortable, it's painful, it leaves marks inside of us, as long as that belief's there, it aligns with a truth that I'm holding. It's a lie about me, but I'm holding this truth that I'm a piece of shit. So because it aligns with something I believe to be true, I will go ahead and tolerate it. And so part of the work of expanding our tolerance in the area of love is that we have to begin the process of believing that we are worthy of love. We have to begin to deliberately work that out inside of ourselves. And then all of a sudden, the more that I had Paul love on me, I was confronted with having to change my beliefs in order to stay within that relational context.
Yes.
So when I was faced with that, I would sit down and be like, he is loving me in this way because I am deserving of this love. I am worthy of this love. This is an expression of God's heart towards me inside of this. I have to accept this. And as I started shifting that truth, I was like, what he's doing, even though it's still a little uncomfortable, is aligning with what I believe I deserve
Wow. Yeah.
as a child of God.
Gosh, that's hard though. It's so hard because oftentimes what we believe we're worth is stamped so intrinsically into our bodies. It's not just even our minds, it's our bodies believe that. But I know that for me, even the declarations, I used to say this, I'm worthy of good things and great experiences. Every day I'm believing more and more that I'm worthy of great things and great experiences, I think was actually what it was. And I would say, and it hurt to say. It hurt to believe. It hurt to imagine. But that's the growth.
Well, on that note, I would have so many people when they would begin the process of that hit the depth of their emotional distress tolerance.
Hit their distress tolerance.
Yeah, like they'd hit the window of it. It's like, I can't go any higher than this, right?
Yep.
And they would freak out and they'd be like, this is stupid that you're having me do this. Why would you have me do this? This is the dumbest thing ever.
Yep.
And I'm like, what are you feeling when you're doing that? I'm angry. I'm angry. It feels horrible. And they're like, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? Right? And like they're hitting the depth of how deep that actually goes. And then they were having to blow past it. I would say, I want you to sit in how uncomfortable it feels to believe something good about yourself.
Yeah.
And again, they'd be like, that's dumb, this is stupid, this is horrible.
Why are you making me do this?
But then it revealed like so much to them. As they did that, they were like, oh, I can truly see how much I don't believe that I'm worthy of this. I can see where that started happening inside of my life, where I started believing that as a kid, and they could start the shift.
Yeah. And I think, what you're saying, is new experiences is really one of the fastest ways to transform our beliefs, because our bodies are memory keepers of all of our lived experiences, and those are really telling us, that compilation is letting us know what we believe. So when we really take in those brand new experiences and feel the discomfort and then say, can I just let this in like 1 to 5% more in this moment slightly, it starts to actually really tell your body a new belief story over and over again. I was thinking about when you guys were sharing, my mother-in-law, she would be like, I'm going to come over and I'm going to buy you a new coat and I'm going to buy you new shoes. And I'm really worried that it's going to be cold soon. And do you have enough boots? Like, she was a very like, I want to just love you and take care of you. And it was agonizing for me. Like, every time I could feel my whole body be like, no, I'm fine. You don't even have to worry about me. Don't think about me. And she would be so persistent. She'd be like, kind of similar to you were talking about Paul. She'd just remind me every day, you haven't sent me the Amazon link to the shoes that you want yet. I remember, you haven't sent me the Amazon link to the coat that you want yet. And she would just do that over and over and over again. And I remember this one moment that I was like, what if I just said, I don't have to know how to receive all the love that you could give me for the rest of my life forever.
Totally.
But what if I just let this new experience of someone in my life who wants to care about me, who sees me, who wants to do something kind for me.
Yeah.
What if I just let her?
Yeah.
And what if I just let it impact me
a little bit.
However much that I can tolerate. And what ended up happening is every year she'd do that, and every year it just got a little bit easier and easier. And it really did start to widen my window of the ability to receive goodness and kindness in a way that really did transform my beliefs about what it is that I'm worth on the planet.
I want to share this story. One of the most transformative seasons that I couldn't escape was when I was dying. Back in 2016, when I was on the verge of death, and our good friend, Alicia, came into our world and said, I'm going to help you with your health.
With your health.
And I was at the point where I couldn't refuse help. And as the help started escalating that she was giving, it was extremely costly financially.
Yeah.
And every time I got onto a phone call with her as she was outlining the protocol that her scientist that she works with was helping you with, I was aware of the price that was involved. And I remember wanting to vomit after every phone call that we had. Because I was like, how can I pay this back? I don't know if I'll ever be able to pay this back to her. This is so out of this world expensive. And she said, we are taking care of you. I don't want you to worry about it, but this is what's involved inside of this. And I remember my circumstances said, you do not get to say no to love.
Totally. You're like, I can't actually say no to treatment. I need it.
I will be dead if I don't do this.
And your body was like, I need love whether you want me to have it or not.
Yeah. But life kind of said, we are requiring you to sit inside of this distress and figure out how to tolerate it from moment to moment. I think that's one of the beautiful things that life does, because I believe that love is trying to find and apprehend every human being's heart. And it's trying to create circumstances that are perfect invitations for us to learn the lesson of love and learn about this. But it was more painful. Like, I almost would have rather died at that point
It's so real.
than face how much I was being given. And what happens is oftentimes when goodness comes in, because we don't believe that we're worthy of it, we believe that we're indebted to it.
Yes.
And that's one of the craziest.
Now I'm a slave. Now I owe you forever.
I'm indebted to this human being. And that's one of the things that I had to extract out of myself in order to continue to tolerate the gifts, is I had to extract the lie that I was indebted to this human being. Like, I was appreciative, but I didn't have to live indebted inside of my soul.
Well, and the funny thing is, when we feel in debt, we end up avoiding.
Right.
We're like, I can never pay you back. So then you end up treating them worse than you would if you were just thankful. Like a lot of times people that feel, because indebtedness is a sense of shame.
Yes.
And then we don't have tolerance for our shame. We want to avoid our shame
At all costs.
Yes. So I was thinking about the journey of this, and I love that we're camping here for a while.
Yeah.
I was thinking, even in your life, you had so many beliefs that you weren't worthy of being taken care of. And a lot of times if you grow up in a childhood where you didn't really receive a lot of nurture or care or connection or get your needs met in healthy ways, then you don't believe you're worthy of it. That's the sad truth.
Yeah.
If you had to parent your parents, there's actually a really deep shame that is the subconscious belief that your needs aren't worthy of being met. That you're not worthy as a human of having somebody care for you. And I remember when you had your panic attack season, you actually had to let people take care of you. You actually had to let people love you. And I think if there's one piece of advice I'd give is like learn how to let love in before you have to have a circumstance that makes you. Yeah. Because I think that our lives will create circumstances that demand we receive love and care from others. Yeah. But if you let it in before then, it's much nicer.
I prayed the best and worst prayer ever, which was, God, make me incredible at receiving love. And I'm like, love, truly becoming truly great at receiving love means almost like there's nothing we can do to perform for it, right? Like true love, we're not performing in any way, shape, or form. And so I had so many circumstances where I could not perform to receive pure love.
Yeah.
I was backed into a corner. That panic attack season, I couldn't give anyone mental or emotional help.
Yeah.
I couldn't physically do anything for anyone, and I was just trapped on a couch in fetal position as people babysat me.
And people cared for you because actually it turns out you're really lovable. And people didn't love you.
Pretty good guy, apparently.
People didn't love you just because you could do things for them.
Yeah, and that was something that had to be rewired at the core of me. Cognitively, I wouldn't have said that.
Yeah, cognitively, you would have been like, yeah,
but
I believe
circumstances reveal the truth of what we believe.
Yeah.
There's our cognitive beliefs and then circumstances.
Absolutely.
100%. And I was thinking too, when you're like, try to learn to receive love beforehand. And I think that's often what I do in my more regular seasons now. But I would also like to say, if you are in a season where you're like, I can't do anything. It is what it is. I'm at the most broken version of myself. I think one of the best things that I did for my own self was when I was in a season like that, surrendering to, okay, I really can't. Now I'm actually going to let myself receive the good that is here. Because I do think when we are in those seasons of like,
we block the good.
We still block it out.
Yes.
And I remember being in a season that I was like, I might die here, where I was just really in a lot of PTSD and a lot of trauma.
Yep.
And I could actually feel inside of myself that I had a choice.
Yep.
To kind of be like, no, I'm going to block out love, or if I was going to accept and surrender to the gift that season could be for me. Like, can I just sink into it and be like, okay, this is what it is. I'm in a more broken season. So can I let the love do its work in me that needs to be done in me?
Yeah. I'm wondering if it's just true that everybody has seasons where they're not able to perform. I think that's probably a life truth.
Yeah.
Where people have seasons where either they're sick or they're caring for somebody who is sick, or they're like, there's so many different things. For me, PTSD was that way, but also I was so sick that I didn't feel like I could give and contribute anything. I wasn't contributing that much. And you either grow self-hatred when you can't perform the way that you want to, or you allow the love to meet you where you're at, that unconditional love to meet you where you're at, and to grow your worth a little bit more beyond what is comfortable. And both of us have had several seasons where we couldn't perform the way we wanted, whether it was physical health, or sometimes it's just like, oh, I was in this job and now I'm pivoting to this other a job where I don't get to show my skill set the same way. And so can I still allow myself to feel valuable in every season? Can I let the love that is surrounding me? And I love what you said, you know, Pizzi has had really horrific migraines in her marriage. She's my best friend, for those of you who are just listening. And so there's times where she felt like I'm just worthless in my marriage and in my family because I can't, I'm in bed in the dark throwing up while they're having to live. Johnny's having to single parent without me. My kids are missing me. And she had the choice to be like, this proves I'm worthless. This proves that there isn't anything valuable in me. Or to say, this proves that I'm lovable, not because of how good of a wife I am, not because of how good of a mom I am. It enabled her to actually take her identity out of her performance. And there had to be, am I lovable and worthy when I can't prove how good I am, when I can't show up in the ways that I'm used to, when I'm not the one in control, can I still feel lovable and worthy? And I think because of that, that's why traumatic seasons have felt easier, because I had the vision. Now, not like the trauma was gone, but when you have vision for something and you're like, I'm going to allow this to expand my worth. I'm going to allow this to help me see that I'm worth more than what I used to do. I'm worth more than the capacity I had. I'm worth more than that. Then you can still feel productive. I think that's what made it feel good. I'm like, okay, well, I'm really sick. I'm just laying in bed every day, but I can feel productive because I'm growing my worth.
When you're talking about Pizzi, it made me think of another individual that I observed for years. And whenever they were met with something that would require them to slow down and where they couldn't perform, it was so uncomfortable for them that they would push past their body's boundaries. And what they found themselves doing was actually destroying their body worse.
Over and over again.
Because they couldn't stand the feeling of the unworthiness that they felt in that downtime. And so a lot of people, the reason I'm saying this is a lot of people will take a knee to their distress that they don't want to feel, which will...
Instead of caring for themselves.
Correct. Which will then create even deeper distress in other areas of their life. So that emotion turned into a broken down body. That was severely hurt because of it.
Because they were so scared of not being able to perform at the level they used to. They kept running past their body, which kept breaking their body. And so then they had less and less capacity to do anything.
To live life. And if they had just surrendered and allowed themselves to be present with the unworthiness that was coming to the surface, then they would probably have a fully functioning body and all kinds of stuff now to this day.
But this is literally...
So there's a price to avoiding this.
This is literally what we're talking about. Emotional maturity is our ability to be with a distressing sensation without trying to escape it. And the person you're talking about, instead of feeling that shame and that performance pain that they had, they were like, I don't want to have to face that I get my identity from how much physical labor I can do. So instead of facing that part of me, I am just going to run over myself and prove to everyone that I am so strong, you know, and what emotional maturity is I can actually face the distressing emotions inside of me so that I'm making informed decisions with my life, not reacting.
Yeah. And when I think about that, I'm like, I have so much compassion for that individual. And there's so many people out there that do this.
100%.
And it's just like, you think of them and you go, oh, precious kiddo, precious little boy, precious little girl, you know, you are unknowingly keeping yourself inside of a hell that is unnecessary. And it makes sense that you're spinning in circles the way that you are with that torment. And it's so not easy, but there is another way to do it. It doesn't have to be lived this way. And that this conversation is an invitation to step out of it and to know that you're not alone in that everyone is dealing with these identity issues that keep them from actually embracing and tolerating goodness. Like, this is a human condition across the board. Like, as we're talking in our examples, we're not the only ones. It's across the board. We're all battling with our identity and our value. And so you get to go, okay, I'm not the only one, and we all are being invited to face this.
I often think that every season is about identity. It's kind of what I think. So there's seasons where I'm doing something really great and I think, oh, this is building my confidence and my ability to value things about myself. And then there's seasons where I'm not doing things really great. And I'm like, oh, this is a season to remember that I'm not valuable just because of how I can perform. And that really makes it so that every season is building. I literally picture it like your ability to experience love can expand in every single season.
Yeah.
And that feels really hopeful to me.
Yeah, even in my season, when I didn't work for our whole first year of marriage, every day I was facing this sense of distress about how unworthy I was, and having, I felt like, I explain it like this. I felt like I was being shredded to pieces from the inside, and my guts were being ripped out of me, because all the fear of unworthiness was being like brought to the surface. And
that could normally be silenced by your work ethic.
Right.
And how
I
hard
could go throw myself into a job and run from it. But I literally, like, we decided we wouldn't work, but then I tried to get work and I couldn't get work. Like it was a timeout. It was a kid being put in a timeout chair and having to sit with it. And I think that life may require you, because it cares about you so much, to have to sit with it. I'd rather just engage it without being forced into timeout. You know what I mean? like a whole season that puts me into it. And so anyways, I just remember that. And I remember how tormenting that feeling was. And again, we've been talking about even the idea of settling. Like, I'm just going to feel it. And part of what helped me navigate through it wasn't just me feeling it, but was me talking about it.
Yeah. Absolutely. That grew your distress. I'm going to share, but I'm going to name it.
I can tell that I feel unworthy. I can tell that I'm freaking out inside. I feel scared that I'm unlovable right now inside of this. And I was reflecting outside of the monster inside of my head, because when we keep these things locked up inside of here, they keep beating us up. But when we take it out and share it with trusted individuals that are rooted in love, like yourself, when I shared it with you, you were like, oh, that's silly. In a very kind way, like, I love you no matter what, whether or not you're working. You're a great human being.
Yeah. When you have good people in your life, you can be vulnerable, and it actually can help reinforce your ability to let love in.
Yeah.
We have another friend whose husband recently lost his job and had a hard time getting one, and he decided to start naming and facing the distress that caused. And she was able to be warm and kind and nurturing. And I watched him actually start believing in himself a little bit more than he did before he had lost his job. And that is the beauty of when we will face the distress, we can actually overcome it and see it transform. In my life, I think the things I used to feel worthless about now are laughable, because now my worth has grown so much more. And it doesn't mean I still have a lot to grow, but it does feel beautiful to be like, oh, I'm way more comfortable in my own skin now.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to add?
I don't think so.
Okay, so we'll go to the second part, which is the other fear that we have, the distress about relationships, is, am I about to be abandoned? And so we eject on relationships, or am I about to be betrayed, or am I about to be hurt? It's kind of like all in the same vein of, are you about to destroy me from the inside out? And I know that used to be, so the way that I had emotional distress tolerance, so you can have healthy coping mechanisms or unhealthy coping mechanisms, but we're all doing something with our distress. So the way that I used to manage the distress of abandonment was like, if I pick people that are perfect, if I pick the best friends, and if I looked for every habit that is right so that you could not hurt me, so that you could not abandon me, if I look for every right core value, and I vet you, and I wait for a long time to let you in, and I do all of this, then I will know for sure that you are safe. That's how I was handling my distress, was my control and my hypervigilance. And it didn't work. No matter, I mean, there were people that I waited like 8 years of watching their character and being like, okay, I think you look really safe now. I think now I will let you in. And they still hurt me. Their character changed. Mostly because they have disorganized attachment. So when they got close, they flopped. But the idea was I couldn't protect myself even in those situations. So I actually had to learn different ways to tolerate the distress of abandonment. And for me, a lot of it has come down to changing what I believe abandonment means.
That's really good.
And so now I used to believe every relationship needs to last my lifetime for it to be good, for it to be meaningful, for it to be valuable. And the beautiful thing about my view now is there was this friendship that I had in my 20s, and this person loved me so well for 4 years. They were like one of those people that changed my life, like a Paul Young, expanded my view of what I thought I was worthy of and loved. And it ended messy. It ended
a miserable ending to it.
It was painful how it ended. Mm-hmm. And I look at that and I'm just so thankful that I had those 4 years. Mm-hmm. Like that's how I feel. I'm like, those 4 years changed my life. And somehow we often think the ending erases the love story. Whatever was good in our life is now gone. Yeah. And I think we view that like, I need your love to be in my life, my whole life.
Yeah.
Or else it's not worth it. And I've more looked at it like, oh, in every season I need people to love me. And so I'm just thankful in every season I have people to love me. It doesn't mean that they'll be the same people in this season as they were in the last one. But it is the idea that there's enough love for every season feels safer for me. And the idea that if a relationship ends, that doesn't mean the love had to end. It doesn't mean that season that was good had to be taken from me.
Yeah.
Like, I just think beginning to view love as I don't need it all to be long-term for me to still feel fulfilled and full.
Yeah, and I think of love itself as like an unending and eternal resource.
Yes.
So I was thinking as you're sharing, I was like, a lot of what my walls up towards my mother-in-law were about in that beginning when she would love me was I felt terrified of abandonment.
Totally.
I was like, if I need you, if I let myself need you, if I let myself attach to you, something's going to happen and you're going to leave and then I'm going to have to feel the agony of abandonment.
Yes.
And that was the kind of the journey that I was on with her. And then she ended up dying.
Yeah.
In a very intense and traumatic way. And I could tell inside of my own self initially.
It wanted to say, see, you shouldn't have let her love you.
That's why we had the guards. This is why we should have the guards forever.
Yes.
This is why we should. And I could actually feel my confirmation bias be like, this is evidence for why letting love in is a bad idea. But now, like I was telling my counselor this the other day about how I just actually feel so much differently about the story now. And I was telling my counselor about these different times that she'd loved me and how meaningful it was. And it really did actually start to feel like, oh, I'm so proud of myself for every little moment of love that I did let in in that moment. And that actually is evidence to me that because I could let that love in, that means I could do it again.
Yes.
And if I have the power to let a little bit of love in and face my own distress about that and let myself risk attachment, even when I know that there's a possibility of abandonment or rejection on the table, the more times I can see that I can do that, just the more love options I'll have on the planet that I'm on. And so now I think like, oh, actually that love mattered in that season. And then now it's much more easy for me to be like, every time I let a little bit of love in here now, even if there's a risk of abandonment, it still matters in an eternal way.
Well, and I was thinking, obviously I've been a part of your story.
Yeah.
The love your mother-in-law gave you actually changed your life. And it is still a resource for you. Like there's still counseling sessions where you will go back to things that she did and it's still impacting you.
Oh, 100%.
And that, like there's something inside of us that says, don't let this in, because if it gets taken away, it'll be too painful.
Or it won't matter.
Yeah. And the opposite is actually true. If you let love in, you can actually have that love still impact you regardless of what happens. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't have boundaries. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't be wise. Like, I have slowed down. I used to let people become my best friend in like a month. I have slowed that process down with wisdom.
Yeah.
But the concept is, just because it ended didn't actually make it worse.
Yeah.
Like, your brain told you it'll be worse if you let her love in and then she's gone.
Right.
If you hadn't let her love in and she was gone, you'd probably have regret. You'd probably be like, oh, she was here and I didn't even let it impact me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that feels wonderful that you don't have that.
Yeah, I have a thought that's on a little bit of a bunny trail, but it's also in the unless there was more you had to say on that note.
Good.
I was thinking of fear of abandonment and sitting in it. That was one of my greatest subconscious fears in our relationship.
Oh, yeah.
And what it would do is it would cause me to abandon myself oftentimes in what I required, how I expressed my needs, how I would show up. Like, I would turn and like run and apologize for things just to like make it better. Like, I just wanted to make it all better. But I noticed that for me to be able to overcome fear of abandonment, I actually had to face the idea of it being gone. So like, I oftentimes talk to clients about this, where I had to sit down and give you in my heart, like it was an internal job that I did inside of myself. I said, I give Abby permission to divorce me and leave me.
Yeah.
And then I had to start facing, like, what's the truth? If Abby does choose out, what will my life look like? Is there hope for me?
Yeah.
Is there love for me? Is there a future involved for me? So I actually had to sit down with abandonment and go, all right, instead of me just running from you, I'm going to look you in the face and be like, all right, it did. Let's imagine it's happened.
Yeah.
What are the possibilities that my life could be? And it was actually the only way that we were able to balance out. Well, it's one of the ways for us that we were able to balance out the way that we related, was me getting out of that fear of abandonment and being able to be like, you know what? In this moment of this fight, it might be our last fight. She might walk out that door. But me being okay with that meant I didn't have to manipulate you in fights.
100%.
I didn't have to shut it down. I didn't have to get it over quickly. I was able to let you have your own pain and emotions and sit with that and be okay with how uncomfortable the emotions were you were having.
You're literally just talking about the concept, which is you built emotional distress tolerance. And you felt the feeling of abandonment, and you decided to look at it long enough so that it wasn't driving your behavior. Instead of running from that feeling or trying to escape it, you actually looked at it, held it, observed it, didn't get lost in it, but then realized, I'm going to be okay. And it massively impacted our relationship. When you let go of that fear of abandonment, our fights completely changed.
Wow. I
felt seen for the first time in a much deeper way. Our intimacy grew. Like, it really helped me. And we're going to have our next podcast will be about the emotional distress you need for conflict, to do conflict well in relationships, because what you're talking about is the key to healthy relationships. I can hold this distress and not blame you and not run away from you. And I can see that it's my distress and not your fault.
Right.
Like, because you're like, oh, this is my fear of being abandoned, not what Abby just did. And because of that, and because you like slowly got more tolerable with that, like you were like, I could tolerate it if I was alone. That belief, I can tolerate it if I get left.
Yeah.
That belief frees us to then be a more authentic, connected version of ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, when you're actually willing to sit inside of your emotions instead of running from them, you actually start exiting out of the blame the blame shift. Like, this is all your fault. If you wouldn't do this, if you just change the way things are. So many of us are creating such distance and disconnection inside of relationships because we don't want to sit with that emotion, and we start casting blame on each other, which is something we're going to talk about in the conflict episode is a way that we interact with blame and accusation and stuff, all because we don't want to feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I really love what you're saying about the idea of like, if I've faced it or looked at it or paid attention to it, or in my case, like experienced it before and actually felt that distress, then I know that that's distress is survivable. Like I was thinking about how in a way there was a real gift in that I felt after my mother-in-law passing, because I actually could feel inside of myself the ability to choose. Am I going to choose that this is actually just confirmation that I'm going to keep getting abandoned, and every time I do, it'll be forever and it'll destroy me? Or can I notice how I'm feeling the very thing that I was so terrified of feeling my whole life? And the fear of abandonment really dictated most of my relationships because I did all kinds of weird behavior to try to avoid that feeling. And so I could actually feel inside of myself, if I could learn to be less scared of this thing that has driven my whole life, if I could learn to be a little bit less scared of it, if I could learn to hold it for a little bit longer, that will then make my whole life different.
Yes.
Like if I could just get a little bit more free, that will then make every relationship in my life actually feel a lot safer over time. But my thought was like being able to sit and be like, yeah, I felt the sensation of what it was like to be abandoned. I connected to someone and then they died. And I felt what that was like. And inside of my own head, I started to be like, oh, well, I had that happen and then I made it.
Yeah.
And that feeling of like, I made it through that. So actually that sensation is way more survivable than I originally thought.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that takes looking at it from perspective, you know, because in the middle of the grief, in the middle of the story, you probably would have been like, I'm not surviving this. Like, you had crazy PTSD. You almost died from an eating disorder from your PTSD. Like, in the middle moment, you might have been like, no, her dying killed me.
It's killing me, yeah.
Yes. But as you've worked all the way through the grief, I mean, not all the way through, everybody, grief is an unending process, but as you've worked through the trauma of that, now you can look back and see, oh, actually, that didn't kill me. I am more connected to myself than I used to be. I let love in more than I used to, and I am alive.
Yeah.
And I would say the same thing. The things that hurt me most, you can look back and you can feel that pain of like, oh my gosh, that crippled me, because betrayal, abandonment does feel devastating. But I can look back on like the one in my 20s, and I'm like, that didn't kill me. I've had great friendships since then. I found other great people to love me since then. I've let love in again since then.
Yeah.
That's remarkable. Humans are amazing. We're so resilient. We can let love in again.
One of the things that Paul's talked about for years is learning how to, one of the things that Paul talked about for years was learning how to live in the grace of one day, in the grace of one moment. And one of the aspect of what you're talking about here is grace, right? Like grace, the grace for something is the idea that we have these ideas of how things will be outside of the moment of it actually happening. But when the moment presented itself in all reality to you of like, all right, she did die, she is gone, there was grace to now face that in a way that you didn't have the grace to face it over there. And you were able to build your tolerance up as the grace flooded you for the moment. And so instead of us running from things, if we believe that there's grace for each of these things that we're scared of, we'll allow ourselves to like, all right, here it comes. This situation is happening right now. It doesn't have to happen to me. There's grace for it. I'm going to get through it. It has the potential to heal something inside of me and redeem something inside of my life. And I think that's something that I had to build in the back of my head so I could face all these things. I'm like, if I face it right now, there'll be grace for it. It may not be fun. It may not be perfect, but there'll be the people that I need, the experiences that I need, the love that I need. It will be there if I say yes to it.
I think the number one thing that's giving me emotional distress, just tolerance, not distolerance, emotional stress tolerance Emotional distress tolerance. Why can I not say things? It's the end of the podcast. But is the belief that hard things are meant to bring healing to us. So in every season, I'm like, there's something. So even when I get betrayed, I often think there's a healing for me in this.
Yeah.
Even from past betrayals, even from getting love in more. Like, because of that belief that there's healing in every painful situation, it enables me to look at the pain and not run from it. That overall concept. So anyway, this is a fun podcast. I like this series. We have a couple more in this because the concept of learning how to notice our distress and not decide that means something's bad, not decide that means I need to run, not decide that means react, but to be like,
that other people are bad.
yeah, but actually I can hold this long enough to be able to make decisions that are healthy for me.
Yeah. And that oftentimes love and your biggest breakthroughs and the things that you want are right on the other side of distress.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have a question for our audience. And this is a question I want you to think about.
Do you love us?
Have you gone to YouTube and subscribed yet? I want you to just contemplate that. Have I?
I went in
Am
a
I on
totally different
YouTube?
direction
Have I
than I
done
thought
that?
it was going to go.
Distress. Hit that bell button.
Hit that bell button.
Yeah, I will say our podcast is naturally building emotional distress tolerance for people because we're talking about feelings and experiences in relationships that just listening to it is
Brings stuff to the surface.
It brings
that
stuff to the
you're invited
surface.
to face all of a sudden.
but it also brings shame resilience.
Yeah.
And shame resilience is what we need to be able to look at things because you're like, I'm not alone because I feel that way.
Yep.
Oh, I'm not alone. They struggle with letting
Look how
love in
screwed up
too.
they are.
Yeah.
Welcome.
And so, subscribe to the podcast. You'll naturally grow.
Yeah.
And we've seen this in a lot of couples. If they start listening to the podcast, their tolerance for their uncomfortable feelings in their relationship start to grow.
Yeah.
Their tolerance to have deeper conversations start to grow because they're hearing it. They're getting used to those feelings. And then they're being able to accept it more.
Yeah.
I've had that happen a lot where I'm like, I didn't know you could be this honest. And it almost feels stretching to hear somebody say something as honest as you feel on the inside, and it feels uncomfortable. And then you hear it over and over again. And then you're like, oh, maybe I could try it too. Maybe I could be this honest.
Yeah, with that said, I honestly want to get off this podcast right now. But before we go, you can go to Instagram to find Justin and Abby. That's ABI. And you can add us on Instagram if you
Abby
want.
Stumval, Justin Stumval,
Stumble.
Rachel Hughes Consulting.
Yeah.
That's how you can
And-
find her.
Yep. And then you can go to Justin and Abby, that's abi.com. And if you subscribe to our email list there, you can get our free digital book that I wrote called From Crappy to Happy in 7 Steps.
7.
So if you're feeling a little crappy, we can make you happy.
Also, I
7
think I'm going to
steps.
open up a mentorship program. It's
Okay.
coming. I'm pretty sure for January. So if you want to get on the list, you should email us now.
For January 2026.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Good idea. Okay.
Okay.
Well, here's the deal. I'm going now.
Me too.
Bye.
Bye.